Lady Kirk. Brian Kerwin is representing the Pete Snyder for Governor campaign. Brian? Brian is here. Wonderful. Maura Pratt is representing the Glenn Davis for LG campaign. Thank you, Ms. Maura. And finally, our beloved Karen Greenhall, a club member, could not be here this evening. Please remember her. She's running for the 85th. I would be remiss if I did not thank the board of the Princess Anne Republican Women for all their hard work. And ladies, if you would wave or stand up so I could acknowledge you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love you all. Thank you. So they're not standing, but there's Miss Bex. And we have Miss Maura. Miss Ginny, you got to thank her on the way out. She checked everybody in. Miss Marie, our wonderful corresponding secretary. And Cindy Free is our past president. Did I forget anybody, Maura? Did I miss anybody? I might have. If I did, I apologize. So, the Princess Anne Republican Women are chartered under the Virginia Federation, and we work very hard for our party, for our candidates, but something else that we do, we like to call it Caring for America, and we work very hard for our community because we believe in giving back, and that's something that's very important because we work very hard on our side of the aisle to help those in need and to improve the community. And we have typically supported the Judeo-Christian Outreach Center, Operation Homefront, which helps our military, family, and the men and women who serve. We're also big supporters of the food bank, and one of the other charities that we like to call our pillar is the USO. We've been very active with the USO chapter that is at the Norfolk Airport, and I'd like to call on our beautiful corresponding secretary and outreach chair for a quick update. Miss Marie Medell, thank you.
The Princess Anne Republican Women's Club has been a proud supporter of the Norfolk Airport USO for many years. For years, the club has made annual donations to the USO. Several years ago, the airport management gave the USO the use of an adjacent room. The director, Len Friddle, had shared with us that a location was needed to receive family members or deceased service members as they awaited the arrival of the remains of their loved ones. Hence, the Fallen Warriors Room was created, a beautiful living room atmosphere. The USO holds other functions there as well. Our club made a sizable donation for this project, and her name is proudly engraved on the plaque displayed in the room. Another way we support the USO is with donations of food. Single-serving, individually wrapped items such as microwavable entrees, nuts, jerky, protein bars, breakfast bars, cookies. We began by collecting items donated by members twice yearly, but it became apparent the need was great, especially during the holidays when thousands of service members passed through the airport. So for a number of years, we have collected monthly. Thanks we receive each time from Lynn and all the volunteers are heartwarming and make our effort very rewarding. And my husband and I enjoy going monthly to the airport, even though we're not boarding a plane, and to meet the people at the USO because they're always bend over backwards to be, thank us over and over for our donations. Princess Anne Republican Women's Club feels it is an honor to support such a worthy cause in this area that houses so many military installations with service members who are willing to sacrifice their lives to defend our freedoms. Thank you.
Isn't she amazing? We're so lucky to have Miss Marie. Thank you for all you do. Oh, my stars, Miss Betts. I think that segues very lovely into another outreach item that we're working on. Would you like to tell us a little bit about it? Thank you so much.
I have a lovely raffle quilt out front. It's called Oh My Stars. It's 70 inches by 80 inches. It's $5 for one ticket, and 5 tickets for $20. And the funds will go to our outreach as the funds come in. We hope to have the drawing at our September meeting. So plan on attending our September meeting wherever, and we've been meeting here at the Doubletree. So please come buy your tickets. You will see me at the educational breakfast. You will see me at the convention, the drive-through convention. So bring your money, buy your tickets. Really is pretty cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Betts. I think we have maybe one more housekeeping item. I'd like to call on our membership chair, Maura Pratt, for a short report. Thank you, Ms. Maura.
There is a line that Delegate Munoz has used about brevity, and I'm going to try to do just that since you're going to hear from me a couple times this evening. I want to thank all of you for being here. Isn't it great to see 90 people in a room? I love actually seeing all your faces, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of all of you throughout this year and into the years to come. I just wanted to talk briefly about the fact that I love this club and I love what they're working to do with the USO. I love the spirit to serve and the spirit to serve our candidates and our ideals. And I'd really just like to invite you to talk more with me or any of the board members or any of our members about what it's like to be a member in this club. I have included a couple membership forms on each table, and if you're interested in membership or associate membership, please don't forget that you can also be an associate. I see you, Mary. Please don't forget that you can be an associate member as well, but I'd love to see more of each and every one of you out here, and I thank you all for what you've done tonight by coming here and being active in our party. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. I appreciate all that you do for us. And I think that takes care of all of our housekeeping. Would the candidates like a couple of minutes to finish eating, or you want to get started? How about 5 minutes? 5 minutes, and we'll run through the forum format in just a minute. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Thank you so much for being here.
Your meal is going to be reminiscent of They used to tell us we had 20 minutes and 20 minutes only to eat our fine maybe chow.
Well, I understand.
Pardon?
I could understand that part. I was saying that 5 minutes to get to Chick-fil-A. Hopefully I could do that to turn right back onto the ramp. You know how you just wake up from that reality. But
Sad part is, between weddings and growing up in the restaurant industry, used to eating last, be the last person served for food at a wedding. People like have like 5 minutes to eat because it's time for the next thing. It's like, hey, you guys are privileged. He's a great guy. My name's Andy, and I'm running for Congress.
All right, Andy.
What's your name?
Merle Rutledge.
Merle?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Andy. What's your name?
Debbie.
Hi, Debbie. Sorry. Yep. So you have one. Do you need that?
No.
There. Thank you very much. So I can use it again, but
I
I haven't
can
seen
get-
you, and I'd love to have you come to breakfast
Okay, definitely.
every Saturday at the Golden Corral.
Oh, yeah.
They put out a
Right,
good
the-
spread.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
pretty reasonably priced.
Okay.
Love to have you come and
If I
get
could,
involved.
if I could wake up that early.
Well, give me your phone number. I'll call you.
Okay, well, I'll make sure I do that. So this way I can have a wake up
If
call.
you'll consider me for Congress next year, it'd be great.
Oh, I definitely will.
Thank you very much. Andy,
Hey,
is
hold on, you graduated from Norfolk State?
I did. I was in Saudi Arabia for 3 years, and I wanted to come home. My family was here, and Norfolk State offered a cybersecurity degree. So I attended Norfolk State. We did a lot of virtual but real people together stuff, and it was great. And behold, the green and gold. I graduated, did the graduation, was in the first class of their master's program.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my school.
Is that right?
Yeah. Got my bachelor's.
I wore the hood with them, and it was great.
Yeah.
Very proud to have that on my resume.
Yeah.
Are they still in the tournament?
No, they lost yesterday.
Did they lose yesterday? I didn't check.
Yeah. But they got slaughtered by Gonzaga. But at least it was a number one team. You know. Hey.
I went to Notre Dame. They didn't even make it. So.
Well, they had a better chance than ours in that tournament. But hey, I'm just glad that we are improving a little bit.
Yeah.
Not much, but yo.
The trend's in the right direction.
I mean, the sports team.
Yeah.
As far as the curriculum, it's great.
Oh, the stuff that they taught me is proven invaluable.
Yeah, definitely.
I get him. Very nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Right, do you shake? I shake. Okay.
Sorry, my hands is weak. I'm just get my energy up. Until I'm finished with this monster, I'm probably going to. I was just telling her how tired I am right now. Gotta get my boys.
Yesterday, I didn't get home Saturday after work until 2 a.m.
Oh my goodness.
All
I
right.
people I wanted to hang out and talk after I finished working.
That's
I was
the,
like,
that's the thing.
I'm not used to this anymore.
Yeah, it's one thing to go to an event, then afterwards you're there for hours after the fact. Then you get yourself on the road, and it's like, it's not like, okay, 2 to 4 o'clock. It's really 2 to 6 or 7 o'clock or later.
And then I had to be on the road to Richmond yesterday morning. So.
Yeah, but for the most part, I went from Arlington, Richmond, then I had to go back to Fairfax. It was like going back and forth and then back, straight to Virginia Beach. And Biden didn't help me none with all the gas prices being high. It costs now like $20 just to make it to Richmond. I'm like,
Just wait until this summer when the 50% gas tax goes into effect on the state house in January.
and
That
see,
was the very first bill.
and people voted for this, and this is the problem. They find out after the fact they went in the wrong direction. And then they're like, okay, well, we're going to blame whoever they tell us to blame. The playbook is still out there on it.
Well,
That
funny. People have no idea who has the contract for running oil on the train. Those all deal with the train that runs all the oil that companies trying to take away from them to do the pipeline.
what did I Google search on it?
Berkshire Hathaway.
First,
They own the
Warren
train.
Buffett. Warren Buffett.
And so there was 3 train derailments in 1 year in West Virginia alone during Obama that were all Berkshire Hathaway oil trains, and they're being sued for hundreds of billions of dollars in damages. 2 fresh water drinking supplies, and 100,000 acres of farmland destroyed by oil. And yet, pipelines are dirty.
Thanks for telling me that.
That's crazy.
It's ridiculous that people have no clue about that.
Because I was trying to figure out why it was so urgent for Biden to issue that order and just cut off jobs like it was water.
That's why. It's because you had to save Berkshire Hathaway. A multi-billion-dollar corporation.
They want to keep the monopoly that they have,
Yeah.
transporting the oil.
This is the biggest thing that nobody talks about. The switch concerning the parties is recent. It's not from the 60s, like everybody tries to say it is. It's the switch of corporate Wall Street money switching from Republicans to Democrats, and Republicans working for the working man from corporations. That's the switch. That's the real actual switch, and you can fact check that all day long by looking at who donates money to who. Because that's federal by law. They have to post where every candidate from city council on up has to post, school board on up to the top, has to post where they're getting their money from. Corporate America is sponsoring the Democrats. Corporate billionaires are sponsoring the Democrats.
Yep.
The working Joe is paying the Republicans.
They're keeping the money in their pockets.
Yep.
Like the teachers union.
And here's the funny thing about the unions. So the shipyards are laying people off right now because Biden canceled Trump ships for the Navy. So last week, Newport News Shipyard laid off almost 400 people. They're planning on 7,000 layoffs from the shipyards because of what Biden did, canceling all the Trump orders for ships. And all the union reps that came out here from California to talk about who to vote for all got booed off stage because they were telling everybody to vote for the Democrat, vote for Biden. And everybody in the crowd at the shipyards booed them off stage and started throwing water bottles and stuff at them to get them off the stage. Because they all knew that under Obama, none of them had jobs. No ships were being built in the shipyards. Our Navy went from the biggest to the smallest. Our Navy was the smallest since pre-World War II. World War I, I'm sorry. Under Obama. And Trump put in the orders under 4 years to rebuild the size of our Navy and to modernize our fleet. And Biden canceled 8 ships from being built.
That's because that globalist situation.
The end of 4
It's all about
years.
Newport News last
They did
week.
at the
Newport
end of
News Naval
Obama.
last week. Newport News Naval Shipyard fired almost 400 people.
But that's what happens when you're away from the area. I live down here, but I'm always all over the state, and it's like Baba News.
You have to search. You have to search for it in the news.
That's the other point.
I found out about it because I have friends that were laid off. Yeah.
Thank you for the info. I'm going
That's
to
the biggest piece of information. The biggest thing that the Republican Party can do is focus on school boards, because that's the one thing that we don't focus on. And so they're indoctrinating all the kids to grow up and vote for communism.
Yeah.
Capitalism is bad.
Communism and
Our
socialism.
history of our nation is terrible. Some of our history is bad, yeah. But guess what? All the bad stuff doesn't exist anymore because we've changed it. We've changed our laws. We've changed our thinking.
But my thing is, what do they expect people to do for work? You know, it's getting to that point. Like, if you go into a McDonald's now, you see a kiosk machine. You go into a bank, now there's no teller.
That's the
It's
answer.
just like,
And guess what I'm seeing now for ads on Facebook, on my streams? Technology. Instead of the kid making French fries in the fryer, it's a robot arm. Robotics doing the cooking at the fast food restaurants.
do they
Because
realize
that's the future of $15 an hour, is to have one tech person that services 20 restaurants making $15 an hour. And all you have is 2 people inside, one at the drive-thru collecting money and handing out orders, and one at the counter handing out orders. And everything else is robots.
And you know why? Also, with that $15 minimum wage, I'm telling people, y'all all excited over this whole thing. I'm like, when is it cheaper not to pay the robot $15
So
an hour?
the economy states this, and this is proven every time minimum wage raises, the cost of living raises higher to sustain the new cost of the minimum wage. Bread goes up in price, beer goes up in price, gas goes up in price, everything goes up in price. Crops go up, fruit and vegetables, meat, everything goes up in price to accommodate the cost of paying the employees more money. But here's the downfall of that. The guy that's making $15 an hour right now, is he going to get a pay raise like the guy below him that was making minimum wage, that just got a $6 pay raise? Is the guy earning $15 an hour going to get a $6 pay bump? No. He's not going to get shit.
And they're gonna lay off half the workers
Yep.
to make up for the $15.
And so you were ahead of the game, and now you're behind.
So basically, massive unemployment.
And that's the
And to the point
reality
where
of it.
people either stay at home and live off the dependency of the government and basically
Yep. Become wards of the state. Smoke weed. Be dumb.
Oh yeah.
The
Get
dumbing
yourself
down.
a loan, get yourself a loan to create a business where you're gonna dispense
The
weed.
dumbing down
of America.
Are all the gubernatorial candidates in the room?
America
If they are, and somebody
is the
can come up
only
front.
way to allow for communism and socialism to take effect. It's the only way.
It's crazy.
Forget it.
The
Thank you.
higher everybody's education and the higher the drive to be self-employed or to have a startup and be a boss, to be a manager, to own a company, that's what they're scared of.
We all are.
Because it's the wealthy oligarchy and the
Oh,
serfs.
she got you a monster. Awesome.
And it's the serfs. It's the poor people.
I hope you get the message out. But I'm ready.
I want to introduce you to my son. I actually have traveled with you, but I've been sitting here, I've been in families, and I've recorded one of my connections. It's school for a break. Let's go camping.
Which one is Grant?
Grant's my oldest one, and he is. Oh, there he is right here. Grant, wait.
All right, for the candidates forum, if I can have all my candidates' attention real quick. So I have 3 microphones for the candidates to use. All right, so once again, I have 3 microphones for all of the candidates to use to pass back and forth. I apologize, I don't have one for everybody. But in front of you, everybody had a little wrapper, one of these. And inside of that is 2, for lack of words, microphone covers for COVID compliance. So if you're worried about COVID compliance, please use them. I'm gonna leave them on, or if everybody wants to turn them off after you're done speaking, there's a button below the green light, and all you have to do is press and hold it and turn it off. And I will ask this also, and everybody out here, please remind them, hold the microphone up so you can be heard, because when you hold it down to talk, the people in the back of the room can't hear you. So remember to hold the microphone up so you can be heard, okay? All right, that's my little spiel.
Aren't we so lucky to have Bruce as an associate member and helping us this evening? Let's give him a big round of applause. I would also like to say that I believe another candidate has entered the room. We're so happy to have Ann Farrell Tata with us this evening. Thank you. And I believe our beloved Senator Jen Figgins and her wonderful husband have joined us, or are joining us. Joining us? All right, we'll give them a big round of applause. And we're going to get started so we can spend as much time with our candidates as possible. Very quickly, we envision opening remarks. So each of the candidates will have 4 minutes for opening remarks. Miss Rebecca is going to keep time, and she's going to share what the 30-second warning looks like. And then when we ask you to please be respectful of the time, she will show you. Thank you very much. So after opening remarks, we're going to move into Q&A, and the questions were submitted by club members. And we're going to we're going to alternate the order. So you're not always going first, and the same person isn't always answering next, in front or behind you. And then we'll have closing remarks. After Q&A, if time permits, we're also going to have a lightning round of questions. So the first set of questions will be 90 seconds response time. If you are called out specifically by another candidate, we will give you a 30-second rebuttal. Does that sound fair to everyone? Okay, thank you so much for that. And then if we have time, the lightning round, which will be, simple questions, 30 seconds, and then we'll move to closing. 2 minutes. Does that sound acceptable to everyone? All right, awesome. Well, let's get started. Miss Rebecca is ready, and we will go in alpha for opening remarks, and we'll lead with Miss Amanda Chase, Senator Chase.
First test of becoming a governor. Can you turn the mic on? Well, good evening, everyone. How many of you are ready for a new governor? I thought so, me too. Listen, I'm a second-term state senator. I currently represent most of Chesterfield, all of Colonial Heights, and all of Amelia, but I have not always been a senator. I am most importantly a wife to my wonderful husband and high school sweetheart, Mike Chase, who I met at Chick-fil-A. He was my boss. And 16 and 19, and we've been together 28 years we've been married, and we dated for 6. I'll let you do the math, but he's my best friend, and I'm so thankful for his support. We have 4 wonderful and amazing kids, Melanie, Joseph, Timothy, and Daniel. They're aged 25 down to 19, all gainfully employed, 2 of them entrepreneurs. Our oldest daughter is a physician's assistant in Martinsville, and our youngest is at Liberty University. And so we're so proud of our kids, and that's really my why behind I do everything I do. I actually am a Virginia Tech Hokie. Do I have any Virginia Tech Hokies in the room? Here we go. We've got some up here. Go Hokies. And I graduated in 1992. I have a degree, graduated with the top 10% of my class with a degree in business, double majored in corporate finance and business management, and out of college, started working for a company called Circuit City. Except it was their bank. Y'all remember Circuit City back in the day? So we had First North American National Bank, and I worked my way. In 6 months, I became management. Went to work at Signet Bank Card, which became Capital One. Under George Allen, Governor George Allen, I worked in management at the Virginia Student Assistance Authorities, and then finished up before having kids, working in management at the Federal Reserve Bank in Richmond, and I managed the checks department. And the many seasons in my life, I came home and homeschooled my kids under religious exemption. School education, being pro-school choice is very important and personal to me and my family. And yes, I've done it. And I never would have imagined in a million years that we would have government-mandated homeschooling. I mean, my mind is still trying to figure that one out. Education is very important to me and to our family, and it was during the time that I homeschooled my kids that I got involved in a school board race for Omar Raja, who was actually one of Delegate Kirk Cox's students. So anyway, I helped him with his school board election. That was my very first race ever. I helped a number of candidates, over 23 actually, help get elected, and actually served as the treasurer of the Huguenot Republican Women's Club, right? And so I've been very active. Started my own business as a grassroots management consultant to help good people get elected and give them a fighting chance. And I had so much fun being a candidates coach. I've helped many congressional candidates, statewide office, run for office. And who would have ever thought, I can tell you it wasn't me, that I would ever stand here before you as a state senator. This was never on my list. I am a Christian, conservative, Republican in that order. That's very important to me, and it drives everything I do. I actually used to be a shy wallflower, believe it or not, and it's interesting. I never thought I would also have a radio show, but I had a radio show for 3.5 years called Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase. And it was unscripted, unfiltered, and we did it a year. We did it for 3.5 years for an hour every week. And I really had to study hard on policy because anybody could call in, and if they weren't filtering the calls, I had to really learn how things worked. As a state senator, I co-founded the Transparency Caucus. I passed a number of bills, but one of those was the coal ash cleanup bill in Virginia so that our known carcinogens are not going into our waterways. The healthcare transparency bill, which actually helps you all to be able to shop around different hospitals to get the best cost and bang for your buck. So that's my intro. It is so good to be with you all tonight, and thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you.
Well, my name is Kirk Cox, and it's great to be with you all today. My background is, like Amanda, I have 4 boys and a wonderful wife, Julie. I was a 30-year U.S. and Virginia government teacher, and that was my love. So think about getting to teach about the founding documents, the Declaration, the Constitution. I did torture my students and made them do Federalist Papers debate. So I guarantee you when my kids finished, they knew the founding documents very, very well, and that's so important. And the beauty of Virginia is I went on to the House of Delegates, and we're a citizen legislature, the way the founders designed that. And I did both for almost my entire career. And that is so fundamental. I was also a basketball and baseball coach. You've got a lot of really good candidates up here today, and we're very, very blessed. One of the things I will say I've tried to be is sort of the guy in the arena. I always love that Teddy Roosevelt line. And I'll give you one really quick example, and that's on the life issue that, of course, means so much to me. And when I was speaker, we had a Democrat, Kathy Tron, that put an abortion up till birth bill in. Probably the worst bill to me in all 32 years. I did something really unusual. When you're speaker, you're up on a very high dais, and you actually have a seat way down in the well. It's the worst seat in the House because speakers never use it. And I felt so strongly about that bill that I actually left the dais, had Todd Gilbert, the majority leader, come up, and I gave the following speech. I said, as long as I have a microphone, I will speak up for life. And I used my favorite biblical character, King David, a man after God's own heart, and quoted Psalm 139. And I love what he said, you created my innermost being. Think about this. He said, you knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And I said, this is such an important issue, we can't pass this bill. We were able to defeat it with a 51-49 majority. So as speaker, I also was able to, and not just me, a lot of other good people, we cut taxes, second largest tax cut in Virginia history by $1 billion. Boy, if you're going to college, froze college tuition for the first time in 20 years, a pretty big issue. One of the safest states in the nation, you can't say that now. 4th lowest violent crime rate, lowest recidivism rate. And I think y'all know this, #1 state to do business. And of course, we lost control. And a lot of people say, why are you running for governor? And I've watched the last year and a half, and it almost feels like your 32 years that you've worked so hard have just totally gone up in smoke. And y'all know the litany. I mean, you can go. I saw a recent study the other day, which I found very amazing. We're the least safe state in the nation. After what we've been through with the executive orders, closing all schools, etc. So very simply, I wanted to run for governor to fight back against those Democrat policies, make sure that we opened all schools, that we had a governor that wasn't going to do what Ralph Northam did and be in the bottom 5 in testing several weeks ago, the worst state for vaccine distribution, the worst in Virginia Employment Commission that we can have. Taxes. Democrats have probably raised all taxes 4 major times since they've taken over. You might not know this. We're running a $730 million surplus right now. So I said something very simple. Give it back. And those are the kind of proposals you'll see from Kirk Cox, which are very, very important. And I'll conclude with this. You got to win. And I come from the bluest Republican district in the state. It's only 46% Republican. It's 30% minority, and that's a good thing. And I was able to win that district. When Hillary Clinton won it by 5, I won it by 4. But Tom Steyer, George Soros, and all these wonderful people that we love so much, Planned Parenthood, et cetera, putting $1.5 million against me. So I think I'm a proven winner. And great endorsements with people like George and Susan Allen and Bob McDonald. So thank you all very much. And Sergio, I'll pass it over to you.
So thank you very much. Thank you for inviting us. I want to acknowledge my wife of 29 years, Vanessa, homeschool mother of our 5 children. Tonight I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I want to tell you why I'm running for governor and why I can win. Let's start with why I'm running for governor. I'm running to protect the American dream. Virginia is the birthplace, it's the cradle of the American experiment that's created the greatest good for the world in the history of humanity, bar none. This is the birthplace of the American dream, an American dream that I have lived. I'm an immigrant. I was born in Mexico in a house with dirt floors and no running water. We came across into the United States when I was 5 years old legally. It took us about a year to get everything done, to be able to do that. I started picking cotton when I was 10. I had 20 different jobs before I joined the Army. I joined the Army through the ROTC program, and my junior year, I spent the second time I got in a plane getting chucked out of that same plane. Well, it wasn't the same plane, it was an Army plane. But it was a lot of fun. And then 30 minutes after we finished making our last jump, I went off to Ranger School and learned what it was like to get training in food and sleep deprivation, but it's the foundation of leadership that the Army uses to train its leaders. Spent 30 years in the Army, retired as a colonel, fought against socialism, communism, and other threats against the United States. And I was proud to do it because I love this country. In 2016, when others were sitting on the sidelines, our fellow Republicans, I joined President Donald Trump's campaign, and I was his surrogate for gathering the Hispanic vote. And guess what? We won. We won 29% of the Hispanic vote in 2016. There's a desire for immigrants to vote with President Trump, and we saw that. So after he was elected, he invited me to be part of the transition team at the Pentagon, and it was a wonderful opportunity. Shortly thereafter, I was tapped to be his Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Western Hemisphere Affairs. I'm proud to say that when I left in October, we had the best alignment politically and economically that we've had in the history of the United States. So why can I win? The reason I can win is because I am that immigrant. I am that federal employee. I am that soldier. And to win Northern Virginia, we have to win in those demographics. We have to win because we keep putting up the same kind of candidates and we keep losing. So you've got to put somebody in there that understands what it is to have that same life experience. And I can win in Southern, Eastern, and Western Virginia because I know what it's like to work in the fields. I know what it's like to drive a truck. I know what it's like to drive a tractor. I know what it is to fix things. The training that I got in the Army, managing resources and leading people is what it's all about. I've got the leadership skills. I'm not a politician. I've never run for any office before. Well, let me take that one back a little bit. I went to Boise State when I was a junior in high school, ran for county commissioner, and I won. 1973, I'm a little dated, but it was a wonderful experience. And this is the beauty of this country. And the uniqueness of my American dream is that I'm not unique. How many of you have an American dream? How about everybody? This is what we're about, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to win. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Merle Rutledge. So I'm a little bit tired, I need the monster. I represent a part of Virginia that's sick of Virginia Democrats. This ain't the America I know anything about. When I grew up, when you graduated, you went to college and expected a career. I didn't expect to see kids my age wearing masks, can't find a job, can't afford a home, and now finding out that they are unsure if socialism is about to take over. We have gave every single politician the assignment to make sure Virginia never became this, and they failed. The reason why I look at this room, I remember that 18-year-old. Y'all remember that 18-year-old, the one full of fire, the one that embraced life, the one who was ready for anything, didn't know anything about quit. They're teaching our kids right now to quit, not to know who you are. Be less black, be less white, be less whoever you are. I'm telling every single youth out there, you don't change who you are for nobody. You came too far. See, some of us was asleep at the wheel when Barack Obama was around giving out fancy speeches of hope. See, my job is to give out a fancy speech of fight that says, Biden, this is your last 4 years, and we are going to make America great again. This ain't the time to run from President Trump. It ain't the time to be politically correct. If you're looking for that, you're looking for the wrong candidates. Every single person up here ain't politically correct. I don't know anybody who's Mr. or Mrs. Perfect. Well, I do know we all have one thing in common, that enough is enough. I'm here. Go ahead and clap. It's all good because God's good all the time. That's why I'm here. I want y'all to know, America doesn't quit. What we have going on right here is Northern Democrats that's drunk on control and power. They taxing us to death. You see the gas prices. You see going to the grocery store, everything's higher. See, it's time for America to wake up. It's time for us to put the fight back in our kids and say, this is the last time we ever do this to America again, and we sit idle and let it happen. See, I've been getting rid of corruption everywhere it goes. I'm the one who has locked up rapists, murderers, and pedophiles, and I'm proud of it. Hopefully they get the death penalty. I plan on getting it right back and putting that death penalty back on the table. We need a clear deterrent that America knows the understanding of consequences and responsibility. And that's exactly what we want for our kids. This fight ain't about us anymore. We only got one moment, one chance, each of us, to do what patriots do. See, they want to destroy any kind of history that we have right now. So after we die, we got to worry about our graves being knocked over like the ones in Hollywood Cemetery. I'm here to fight for our future, fight against Marxists, which I've done every single day. They don't even come my way. Virginia Beach knows that too well. We don't bow down to terrorists ever, and we don't negotiate. And it's a shame that we took our flags down at the state capitol and people stayed silent. The only thing left here is what moment you are going to take the decision that you're going to make. Is it going to be about people who are about gold or those who are about God and country? That's why I'm going to be your next Virginia governor. My name is Merle Rutledge. Thank you.
Good evening. And I just want to thank you all for letting us come join you. This is such a privilege. My name is Glenn Youngkin, and I'm running for governor. And I got a question for everybody, and I'm going to tell you the answer. The answer all at once is going to be yes, we can. Everybody ready? Can we win in November? Yes, we can. All right, we got to do that again. Because we're going to need more than that to win in November. Can we win in November? Yes, we can. Friends, this is the time to stand up and take back our Commonwealth. I'm a homegrown Virginian. I was born in Bon Air. When my dad lost his job, we moved down to Virginia Beach. I went to Lynn Haven Junior High School. I went to high school here. This is my home. I had the pleasure of going away to school and playing basketball in Texas. Two great things happened to me. I got a great education. I was an engineer, and the Lord introduced me to Suzanne, and I've been blessed ever since. By the way, my son Grant's here. I borrowed him from Texas. He actually is home from school and campaigning this week, and it's so much fun to have him with me. But when Suzanne and I came back to Virginia 27 years ago, make our home, and I went to work for a small firm that became a big firm, and I had a chance to run it, and we were focusing on all the things that you were focusing on last summer, which is working, and we were raising our family. We have 4 great kids and working hard in our church, because it was hard, because the governor shut our church. Can't believe that. And we woke up one day last summer, and I asked my wife to go for a walk with me, and I said, hey, guess what? I'm going to quit my job tomorrow. And she said, you're going to quit your job tomorrow? And I said, I'm going to go run for governor. And she said, are you having a midlife crisis? I said, no, I'm having a Virginia crisis. And it's the same crisis that we've all been having, because this great commonwealth that we all love, we don't recognize. She's in the ditch, and the Democrats put her there, and we're going to go get her out. We are going to go get her out, because that's what she deserves. When I go to work as your governor, we are going to unleash innovation. We're going to rebuild Virginia's economy. We are going to restart the job machine that all Virginians deserve. I had a 30-year business career. The company I was fortunate enough to run when I left had $230 billion of assets. That's 4 times our state government annual budget. We can get this done, but we must get Virginia open and moving, our businesses open, our schools open, our churches open. And then we have to jumpstart it. We must create jobs. We learned one thing during the Trump administration, if we didn't learn anything, which is when we build a rip-roaring economy with more jobs than anybody can take, it lifts up everybody. Everybody. That's free enterprise at work, folks. And we have to get it started again. When I get to go to work for all of you as your governor, we're going to get our cost of living down, because guess what? Our peer states, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Maryland, they've been growing faster. They've created 50% more jobs, and yet our cost of living has grown faster. This has been amazing, folks. We must get started. When I get a chance to go work for you as your governor, I will stand up for our constitutional rights. I will stand up for our police force. We will make sure our schools are open. And folks, we will sort out election integrity, because these are most important issues for us all right now. But we have a moment right now in 2021. We have to come together as Republicans like never before, and we have to take back our Commonwealth. And as your governor, I cannot wait to lead us into 2022, and we are going to put Virginia back where she belongs, as the best state in America to live and work and raise a family. Thank you.
What a tough decision we have as Virginians. Wasn't that amazing? Let's give them all a round of applause. Uh-oh. What has someone done with my questions? Well, I do remember one off the top of my head, so we'll go with the elephant in the room. And since we're rotating orders, does it seem fair if we have Delegate Cox go first for the question? Sound okay? All right, so the elephant in the room is election integrity. And there are a lot of ideas and things that we could do, but what is the single most important policy decision that you would make as governor for election integrity, please?
To be elected governor, and I'll tell you why. The way Virginia works, remember, governors have, and did you want us to stand for every question, Joe? Joe, did you want us to stand?
Would you like to, sir?
Yeah.
Certainly.
Probably
Yeah.
better for everybody. Yeah, getting elected governor, frankly, because a lot of people don't realize this. Governors in Virginia are pretty powerful. They have hundreds of boards and commissions that they basically nominate for. And elect, which is your state board of elections right now, is 3 Democrats and 2 Republicans. So you elect Kirk Cox, it'll be automatically flipped to 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats. A lot of people don't know this. The governor picks the commissioner of the state board of elections. So you want to talk about turning things around immediately. And don't forget, every one of your local boards is 3-2. So that's number one. Number two, a whole litany of bills you've seen passed. Obviously, voter ID, signature requirements are absolutely key. These drop boxes that the Democrats, of course, put in during COVID. need to go away. There's no chain of custody whatsoever as far as that goes. And as governor, the other thing I will do is I will make sure that, and I will fund this as governor, we have got to have an election integrity operation second to none inside these polling places. And it can't be in the nice precincts, okay? It's got to be in those tough precincts where we make sure we have people that are trained, they know the code sections, and they know exactly what to do. So those are some of the key things I would do on election integrity.
Thank you.
Well, that's an excellent question. I was an international elections observer in 3 international elections, and one of the things that we focused on was making sure that you had no harassment of the voters, you had a chain of custody, and you had partisan representatives at each one of the places where the vote was taking place. So we need to start with making sure that at a minimum we've got that, and we've got to go back to what the Constitution says. We've got to go back to having this business of a voter day, not a voter season. And we've got to change the laws back. Now, what that's going to require is that we have to get everybody involved. We've got to revitalize our Republican Party. We've got to get the General Assembly back, and the governor can set the tone for how you do that. It's absolutely essential that we do this now, because we had some pretty good laws in Virginia on how you do elections. If you go back to the 2016 timeframe, you know what it looks like. We've done it before. We just need to go back to that at a minimum. But we've got to stop this business about extending this, using COVID as an excuse. So as governor, I would focus on making sure that we restore the previous laws that we had that required voter ID, that required the elections to be held in one day. Now there's always stipulations for other absentee votes, but we'll go back to the old ways. Thanks.
First thing is Democrats cheating. President Trump should still be president. Get to the point. First, we need to also start electing judges here in Virginia, not appointing them, so when they make mistakes like this, we can get rid of them. Let's get to the point here. Also, we need to start having an audit trail daily of every single day how those machines work, or go straight to paper ballots. We should have caught this mistake a long time ago. Procrastination and complacency cost us. We need to make it a requirement and not exempt from FOIA, meaning every single day we should have a printout of the votes so we could catch it. If we had caught this a long time ago, we would have had a case in court that they could not overturn or dismiss. Period. We're finding out right now, right, that President Trump was cheated, and you seeing all those little reversals or whatever saying, hey, it was illegal now. It was illegal then, it's illegal now. President Trump should still be president. Thank you.
So election integrity is not a Republican issue. It's not a Democrat issue. But oh, by the way, let's just remember the Democrats complained a ton in 2016. Remember Hillary Clinton? They stole the election from me. Remember the Russian interference? But it's a democracy issue. And if we don't get on this right now, the foundational cornerstone of this great country will be eroded away. The trust in the process and the outcome of our elections. So we launched our voter integrity task force right out of the box with my campaign. It's that important. We launched a 5-point plan. Not 10, not 15, not 20. I'm not a politician. I don't know how to, 10-point plans never work. 5-point plan, common sense approach. First, actually, I think the Department of Elections should be made independent and transparent, not partisan. Independent. Second of all, we should absolutely update the voter logs every month for if you died or moved away. Come on, we can get this done. Third, a state-issued ID should be used to vote. You need one to get the vaccine, you might as well have one to vote. Fourth, if you want a mail-in ballot, you have to fill out an application and prove you're a citizen. And then when it comes back in, there should be 2 signatures on it, not 1. And then we should just use the same process Visa does to make sure the signatures match and confirm it's from you. And then finally, on voting day, observers should be allowed to do their job. Voting machines should absolutely be tested and audited. Really straightforward, and we'll reestablish the trust in our election process. Thank you.
Well, this has been one of my top issues. In fact, I think voter integrity is the #1 issue of most voters. And friends, we can't wait until we're elected governor. We need to start now. You know, I was the one that had the audacity to say the 2020 presidential election was stolen, and had the audacity to express my First Amendment right to actually go to the Capitol with President Trump on January 6th and stand and witness history. And for doing so, I was censured. I'm the second state senator censured because I chose to stand up and not allow the left to silence my voice. Friends, we cannot wait until November, and as soon as I win this convention, I'm gangbusters. I'm working with the Virginia Project, David Gordon, Delegate LaRock. We are already working on voter integrity. We need and Sidney Powell as well, I didn't mention her. We have to have a full, massive audit of this year's elections so that we can get rid of the Dominion voting machines, period. There was a Gallup poll done that said 70% of Republicans have no confidence that their vote is going to count. We have to do something about it this year. And I'm going to do it this year while I'm a state senator.
Thank you very much, and we'll start with Mr. De La Pena. And the next question. We all believe that government is bloated at the highest levels. What cabinet position, if any, would you eliminate on your first day as governor?
Well, one of the things that we need to do is get a handle on education. Education is one of those things that we keep on funding. We spend inordinate amounts of money on, and we're not getting the return on investment. I think a lot of the responsibility for education should be done at the local level. Am I right? I mean, this is something that all Virginians should have the option to do. So I think you need to start by looking at how you can reduce the ability of the state to have control over the educational system. We opted for homeschooling. It's the ultimate freedom that you have, and that you control the vertical and the horizontal. But we ought to be able to do that with all schools. We ought to be able to allow parents to pick the schools. We ought to have vouchers. We ought to have transportability. We let the the teachers' unions control too much of our curriculum. If you look at the way that socialists infiltrate our system of government, you can see it through the schools. Look at critical race theory. Look at some of these other programs where they're using the schools to indoctrinate our children. We can't let that happen. Now, Delegate Cox was talking about the governor having the ability to control boards. The universities need to have a revamping with the boards. That's something that needs to happen now. Thank you.
The first thing I eliminated the Department of Health. Right now, we seem to be shut down. We seem to have these problems with our schools. We seem to have us all messed up, with our economy being destroyed. Let's be honest, they're cowards. We never would have shut down for the flu. Let's be honest. They weaponized this for an election. And each time I hear Governor Northam up there talking, he says, hey, I didn't review the data, but I'm going to shut everybody down for no reason. The fact is, Virginia has never quit like this. We only fight back, and whoever decides to be the opinion for the Department of Health needs to be fired and never given a job again. Because that's why we're here right now, people. Let's be honest about it. See, we need that strong head coach, that person who tells us not to quit, that says, hey, you're not good enough yet. Don't settle for what you just practice with. You got to earn it. The fact of the matter is, Virginia is going downhill, and more than ever, I need for patriots to be fighting for us to get ourselves out of this mess. We open back up Virginia, not the governor. Thank you.
In my 30-year business career, I never examined a budget where there wasn't 5 to 10% of absolute waste. Now, I want to remind everybody that Virginia's annual budget is actually $67 billion. That's a lot of waste. We know it's there. The other reality is, of course, that Virginia doesn't run things well at all. You're right. Anybody been to the DMV lately? Sadly, anybody filed for unemployment? Virginia's in the bottom 10 states in processing unemployment claims. Last year, sadly, 1.5 million Virginians had to file for first-time unemployment claims, most of which were unnecessary because our governor shut our economy unnecessarily. Is it a surprise that a government-run, Democrat-led vaccine distribution fell down immediately? No. And the challenge we've got is we keep sending the same kinds of people to go run these things. We need a completely different view on what to do to drive efficiencies out of a bloated budget. No deals, but a fresh perspective from somebody who doesn't owe anybody anything, but can absolutely bring a new perspective. It takes a different kind of person to run this government, and I suggest I'm that kind of person. Thank you.
And Shelley, I heard your question, and I'm not sure we're answering that question. I think the question was, which secretary would we eliminate from the governor's cabinet, correct?
Absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand the question, because that would mean the Chief of Staff, Secretary of Commonwealth, Secretary of Administration, Secretary of Agriculture and Forestry, Secretary of Commerce and Trade, Secretary of Education, Secretary of Finance, Secretary of Health and Human Services, and the Chief Diversity Officer. I would eliminate the last one, and I'll tell you why. How about equal treatment under the law, not special treatment of law? How about stop putting reparations in our Virginia budget to target different communities as being more equal than others? That's the secretary that I would eliminate.
Well, there's not a secretary I would eliminate, but I would do this. Higher ed is where all the bloat is. And I've chaired the higher ed subcommittee. And if you look, J-Log did a recent study that said we're growing twice as much on the auxiliary side. That's the non-academic side. Do you know how many folks we have in every president's office in higher ed, and diversity is one of them, that all these specialized positions that basically are a total waste. If you look at right now at college tuition, and I was just driving, frankly, where parents can't afford it whatsoever. So that's where you're wasting. I've done very specific things there. I've proposed the Online Virginia Network, which would bring the cost down dramatically. Other states have what are called flat fee degrees. You go to school for $10,000. Purdue University, Mitch Daniels, hasn't raised tuition in 8 years. So I would say to me, that's probably the biggest bloated thing we have. And Sergio mentioned this, and I've said this, governors can do something about it. You appoint every single board of visitor for every college. Let me tell you what college presidents do. They wine and dine them when they come because they don't want them to see their budgets. And those board of visitors don't examine those budgets. And so if you want to really make change, that's where you make change.
Thank you very much. So in Virginia, governors face a choice between utilizing resources to attract large businesses to Virginia as opposed to facilitating small business growth organically in Virginia. Which do you think is more important?
Well, this is my business plan because it answers the question all the way across the board. I want at least a 15% state tax cut for all businesses. I call that part of my COVID relief plan. Also, I want 0% no state tax on startup businesses. I want businesses to come here. and run well and grow and hire. The fact is, we need a person with a plan that doesn't have raising taxes in it. You know, we can't fund other businesses by saying, hey, we're gonna keep investing. We just gotta create the environment for them to come back, because they already left. A lot of them in South Dakota where this economy wide open, realistically. So the best thing we can do is also entertain other businesses. The other ones of mine, I'm gonna say straight up, I support marijuana. Coming in $300 million the first year in revenue, over 12,000 jobs, and some of them voted against it. We don't have a choice here. Our farmers need the crop. If you want to starve out our farmers just because you want to help out some corporations, feel free. I'm not going to do that. And we also need to cut the red tape so people can do business from their home without the government all up in their business. That's what happens when you have big government. I'm all about smaller and efficient government and telling it like it is. Thank you.
So I don't think this is an either-or question. I think we first have to get open and demonstrate that Virginia means business. What my 30-year business career has taught me is that you have to do all of the above. We first have to get the economy open, peel back the red tape, cut away all of the things that Governor Northam has piled on small business over the course of the last year. It's killing it. 25% of Virginia businesses were either closed temporarily or permanently in the last year. 25%. Second thing we have to do is create a business environment where Virginia businesses can thrive and not leave. That is a tax reduction, but that's also cutting through mounds and mounds of business license requirements, etc. By the way, that's driving away our good businesses. Advanced Auto Parts leaves Roanoke and goes to Raleigh. Norfolk Southern leaves here and goes to Atlanta. Folks, we have to keep these businesses here. And finally, we have to create a business environment where we don't have to pay a king's ransom for people to come. Here's the difference. In Florida, Governor DeSantis uses a $3,000 per employee incentive to get people to come, to build businesses, corporate headquarters in Florida. Do you know what we paid Amazon to come? $20,000 an employee. Friends, this is because our business environment is stacked so much against business, we have to give away a king's ransom in order to get companies to come. We can fix this.
So to answer the question, if I had to choose between policies that would favor small businesses or corporations, I would choose small businesses, and I'll tell you why. While they're both important, and I've even introduced legislation to lower our corporate income tax from what it is currently at 6% down to 2.5% to be more attractive to other corporations who want to come to the East Coast, they are looking at that corporate income tax. Now, what we should not do is have the government pick winners and losers like Go Virginia, which is a bipartisan plan that a lot of legislators have supported and currently support. I do not support giving large incentive money to companies like Amazon, which is money that should be going toward our roads and infrastructure. But here's why I favor small businesses. We need less regulation, less taxes, which I've voted against both, and I've actually passed and signed into law a regulatory bill that actually says for every regulation that is introduced, you have to eliminate 2. But our small businesses are the backbone of our country, and many times they compete with the larger corporations. The small mom and pops, they are the backbone of Virginia. Thank you.
Well, you certainly have to have both. I agree with Glenn, but I think to answer the question, it's got to be small business. Certainly during the pandemic, they have suffered more than anyone else. And of course, your tax and regulatory structure is very, very important. One of the things I did as speaker, and this is very important, you have something called the Department of Professional Occupation and Regulation. They regulate almost all your small business. I was actually able to cut their regulations by 25% over 3 years. The second thing you've got to do is, let's talk a little bit about education. We have got to start aligning the jobs with education. Not everyone's going to 4 years of college. A lot of these kids, career in tech is the key. We do a very, very poor job of matching where the jobs are. We need much more community college programs. We need basically a lot of credentialing. A lot of kids are going to be welders, they're going to be plumbers, they're going to be CTL drivers. We do a very, very poor job of matching that. We don't listen to business on where the jobs really are. So I think that's the other really, really key part. And if I can say this being in Virginia Beach, the other key, frankly, is veterans. I don't think you'll probably find better workers, etc. We put way too many barriers for veterans. We have a program called Virginia Values Veterans that needs to be improved. They're some of your best workers. So if you're a medic or a corpsman in the service, you shouldn't have to come back and take all of those courses. We've got to streamline those types of programs for veterans. So I think small business is the answer.
One of the fun parts of being the last is that all the good ideas get eaten up by everybody else, but I think I've got something that I can add to the discussion. My homeschool economist has taught me that a gentleman by the name of Lou Rockwell says that wealth is the product of human creativity in an environment of freedom. And think about that. That is the key, because you can address both small businesses and corporations using that concept. And Amanda's right, you've got to reduce the regulatory burdens, you've got to reduce taxes, and you got to cut spending. But the more important thing we got to do immediately after the hit that small businesses have taken is to give them the opportunity to open back up. Let them expand that creativity. Give them the opportunities. Make sure that the regulatory schemes are such that when they open up, they can open up as freely as possible, because we've really given our government, our state government has really given a hit to small businesses. But you've got to have the big corporations as well, and they have to come in because they do provide a lot of the jobs. Anything you can do to improve the job situation is going to be critical. And lower taxes, lower regulatory scheme, and control spending, reduce spending, no more increases in taxes. For now, I've taken a tax pledge, and I think several of us here have as well. So this is what we got to do to expand the economy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. How are we for time? Can we take a couple more before we go to the lightning round? How does everybody feel? Candidates? A couple more? Okay, awesome. So outside of the mishandling of the schools during the current pandemic, what do you think are the weaknesses in Virginia's K through 12 educational system?
Thank you. One of the primary weaknesses in Virginia's K through 12 educational system is the fact that we have failed miserably at introducing charter schools and school choice. Failed miserably. And one of the primary issues is that our legislature and our governor actually gave counties the ability to charter schools, as opposed to do it centrally. Now, folks, if you actually put the inmates in charge of the prison, you're not going to get charter schools. And what we have seen is that with no competition in our school system, with parents not having the ability to make a choice with their tuition dollars, our school systems are controlled by the teachers' unions. They absolutely teach what they want. They close when we don't want them closed. And we recognize they don't work for families and students, but they work for the unions. And we can change this immediately. We absolutely should charter schools. We absolutely should improve competition. We should give parents the choice of where they send their child. We must do this. This is the key to unlocking. This is the key to unlocking the future of K through 12 in Virginia. And as governor, that will be done as soon as we get in office. Thank you.
Friends, I also believe that we should allow the money to follow the child. I don't believe your zip code should determine your level of education. And as a former home educator and someone who has had their kids in private school, public school, and homeschooled for 8 years, and yes, I do have the wrinkles to show for it. But let me tell you what I'm most concerned about as our schools reopen, is this indoctrination that's going on in our schools. The critical race theory is absolutely abominable. I can't even believe that that's going on here in America. But we have to acknowledge it. I'm going to set up a call center with a hotline that allows parents and students to report to my office indoctrination. Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to start taking away that state budgeted portion of the budget that they get if they do that. We need to allow our money to talk, and that's what I'm going to do as Virginia's next governor. And I've had it. Radford University had a sociology professor that gave a test. And one of the test questions was, what does make America great again mean? Do you know what it meant? A return to white supremacy. Unbelievable. And let me tell you something, I called that professor, I called the college president, that guy's no longer there. And then he tried to go to Virginia Tech, and I called Dr. Sands. There's a happy ending to this story, friends.
Man, I turn off the mic on me. I think the very first thing we need to do, let's talk about public schools first. Money's got to get in the classroom. So 70% of every dime should go in the classroom. That doesn't happen whatsoever. We have so many ancillary programs and wraparound programs that do not work. And one of the things I did on the K-12 subcommittee is I made every one of them come in front of me and tell me exactly what they actually performance-based did. And we cut those from like 12 to 2. So we've got to make public ed much more efficient. I'm a little bit unusual. I'm a 30-year public school teacher. I started in the inner city. And I'm also for school choice, and who better to deliver that message? Because it's good for public schools. It brings competition, it makes them better. And that's the way we need to say it. I put one of the first tuition tax credit bills in way back about 20 years ago. And that is very, very, very healthy for the public schools. And so you will see Kirk Cox push that very much as far as that goes. And I would say finally is being a teacher. We need to really do career ladders and go back to the concepts of merit pay, etc. I mean, we need to reward teachers who are really good in the classroom. And every single teacher can tell you in the building who's the best. And there's nothing more frustrating than sitting across from someone when you've worked on your lessons for hours and been creative, and they're making exactly the same money as you. So we need to both be creative in the public school sphere and have a robust choice program.
The United States has the best school systems in the world. Look at graduate level education, we're number one. Everybody still comes here. This is where it all starts. And Virginia has phenomenal university systems. The K-12, however, are having problems primarily because we've shut the schools down unnecessarily. If you look at the infection rates in children, if you look at the COVID rates, there's ways of mitigating the problem. That's not to say that COVID isn't a problem, but there's ways that you can mitigate it. We need to be able to manage things through common sense. As I said previously, wealth comes from human creativity and an environment of freedom. If you apply that to schools, the same things holds true. We're still following a model of schools that we had during the Industrial Revolution. We've got technology now that is so incredibly advanced that you can take much greater advantage of that technology and specialize across the board. We need to stop also focusing so much on college education. It's good for some people, but it's not good for everybody. There's got to be a wider variety of what you can do, and look at how much kids are leaving schools with debt up to their eyeballs. There's no way that you can pay for some of that. What's the cost benefit of what you're getting in school? You've got to make sure that you adapt to what you want to learn. So, thank you very much.
I'm about to be very politically incorrect. We need to keep the grown men from going into our little girls' bathroom. We need to get the Marxist indoctrination out of our schools. We cannot call our kids prison or wardens or inmates. Every single child is important, and we gotta fight for them. Now, I love school choice and everything that they said, but it raises taxes. There's nothing wrong with our schools. The fact of the matter is, yes, we need to make education tougher, but we don't need a tax credit or anything that's going to kill us down the road. The fact of the matter is, we stop getting these sex ed classes out there, grooming our kids for pedophiles and grooming them for the devil's pleasure. And we start getting back to education and focusing on their careers. That's how we get our schools back. We can't buy our way out. We can't have a policy out there. Each and every one of us went to school. We did fine. That's why we're here. The fact of the matter is, the best thing we can do for our schools is get the Democrats out their businesses and make sure conservatives is taking over with common sense. Thank you.
We got everyone, right? Sorry, I'm losing track. So how about a softball, and then we'll go to the lightning round. And did you want to go now, ma'am? Sure, go right ahead. We have a member that has an urgent concern.
So I got a text this afternoon, and thank you, Shelley, for allowing me to speak. This text upset me greatly, and I might at the end of this ask you, Amanda, for your hotline, because I have a live example. One of my friends texted me and said, my grandson got this paper today at school, and it's high school English 12th grade. They're teaching them about these modern day 7 deadly sins. So if you're Catholic, you know how important the 7 deadly sins are. It's a serious thing that she's putting out here. So 2 of the 7 deadly sins I got very upset about. One is privilege. She goes on to describe this. You have advantages in society that you refuse to admit to yourself or to others. The idea of an even playing field sounds more like reality to you than the idea that the doors to success are not open to everyone. To you, the United States is the land of equal opportunity. You truly believe that all those that don't have your advantages in society just aren't working hard enough for them. One, this is the one that really got me. Conservatism. The root of this sin lies in the belief that old traditions that have and continue to oppress others should be upheld. They have a me first attitude and value their own green paper more than the life and security of others. Why should they share their riches with others who need it? Who cares if they live significantly more comfortable lives than many others? Empathy is rejected in conservatives. That is, unless we're talking about empathy for other conservatives. They have to stick together somehow, right? A teacher's putting this out to 12th graders. You each have a copy. My contact information is on here, and I'd like to know what you think or what we can do about this.
So she's got her contact info, and would definitely appreciate if you could follow back with her at some point. There's a lot to unpack there, so obviously you gotta do some research on it, but we appreciate your working hard for us, and thank you so much. We appreciate your passion and advocacy. Thank you. So before we go to lightning round, why are you uniquely positioned to win in November compared to your colleagues?
All right, number 1, I'm a state senator. I have already proven that I can win, right? That's helpful. But let me tell you something. I am also the first woman to ever seek the Republican nomination for governor, and I am already bringing a lot of women who would not normally vote for us. That's huge. I would also tell you that I am one of the youngest members that's running. And I remember being in a Walmart in Lynchburg, and this kid came up to me and said, "Are you Amanda Chase?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Can I get a picture with you?" I was so honored because he was young. But listen, let me tell you something else. There's no mistake on why I have passed 3 polls as being the front runner, and I'll tell you why. I started early. I announced back on President's Day 2020, and I had done up to 18 events, 18 rallies a week for over a year. And so I've had a head start of everybody else that's running. And up until a certain point, I actually raised more money than any other candidate, using no PAC money, no money from lobbyists. 69% of them had never given to a political candidate. I'm bringing in that many new people. 88% of those donations were $100 or less. And I also had the largest social media presence of anybody on the stage, so thank you.
Yeah, I would say I'm the only one on the stage who has really run in probably the toughest race. Remember when the liberal judges redrew 5 districts back 2 years ago, and unfortunately we lost 4 great delegates. And I mean, I had an incredibly tough district. And as I've said before, think about this, 46% Republican, and having every major national Democratic figure basically put money against Kirk Cox. And why was that? Because I was Speaker of the House. So I was the top target. And I was able to win that race by knocking over 8,000 doors. And I'll tell you also this, doing very, very well in a 30% minority community. It's helped that you've taught an inner city soul. It's helped that, to me, they identify sort of with that working class background. I think it really helps as Speaker. I traveled all over the state and very connected. And we've got to win Northern Virginia, folks. Whether it be the Northern Virginia Business Council, et cetera. I've met with Asian American groups, Korean groups. Republicans have got to get out of their comfort zone. We've got to go talk to other folks and bring them in. I have great coalitions, not only with women, but believers coalitions, Latino coalitions, et cetera. We're simply not going to win without that message. And I would say this also. I do think that experience in the House is really good. And I'm just going to be Kirk Cox. I think if you're authentic and you are who you are, folks are really looking for that. And they're really looking to end this one-party Democratic control.
Well, as I pointed out earlier, the reason I can win is because I can win in Northern Virginia. Why? Because I am that immigrant. I am that federal employee. I am that soldier. I can win because I can cover the broad demographic. I know what it's like to work from the bottom up, and I know what it's like to work from the top down. As President Donald Trump's Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, I was responsible for U.S. defense policy for this half of the globe, from the North Pole to the South Pole. I've been in about 60 different countries in my time in the Army. I've seen the bottom of the barrel, and I've seen the most developed countries. I know how they operate, and I see some of the patterns that we're having here in Virginia, and they're not good. When you allow socialists to implant some of those seeds that we've seen at the government in Richmond through our governor and the General Assembly, it's not good. We need to do better. We need to make sure that we cover those demographics, because I am all those people. I understand the entire way. I know what it's like to learn English. I didn't speak a word when I came to this country. By the way, in response to your concerns, we need to stop asking for forgiveness and doing acts of contrition for sins that we've not committed. If they want to look at someone that is conservative and has lived the American dream, that you can tell me about my white privilege, because this is what we're about, because we're Americans first, and there's plenty of those immigrant communities that are exactly that. Thank you.
I think we all sick of the politicians and the identity politics. It doesn't matter whether you're the first female, the first black person, first white person. Democrats is already doing that. It matters who's the best person for the job. I'm not here to increase taxes. I'm here to protect your guns. I'm not here to close churches. I'm here to make sure you are able to practice your religion any kind of way you want to. I'm not here to beg or plead for a vote. I'm here to earn a vote. I'm here to make sure that each woman knows that there will not be a man playing in your child's sports. The fact of the matter is we done went crazy right now because we've been believing the politicians and not getting direct answers. Everybody talked about what they support and don't support. We need to know clearly where you stand. We got enough of that in Richmond right now. That's why we are so behind right now, to the point that Democrats think that this whole state is blue and they can do whatever they want. We keep going in with the same person, we will get the same problems. Right now, enough is enough. It's time to send the people back to Richmond and get them fakes and those salties and those who compromise out. It's us against the politicians. Thank you.
Thank you. Your comment, I hope, highlights in everybody's mind what we have to get done this year. This is the single most important question that you've asked. Who can win? Who can win? We're going to have to beat Terry McAuliffe or somebody else who they send. I think it'll be Terry McAuliffe. And the big question I've got for all of you is, what's it going to take? We're going to have to go toe-to-toe. We're going to have to talk about building an economy. We're going to have to talk about cutting living expenses, putting people back to work, getting Virginia moving, protecting our conservative values, rallying Republicans like we have never done before. We're going to have to resource a campaign like you have never seen. The last time around, it was a $35 million raise by Ed Gillespie and about 42 for Ralph Northam. Get ready to put nearly twice that much into this, folks, because this is what it's going to take. This is what it's going to take. This is not time for the JV. It's not. We've got to come together like never before. And I humbly submit that Terry McAuliffe does not want to run against me. I was born in Richmond. I grew up in Hampton Roads. I've been in Northern Virginia for 27 years. I know these communities cold. I also know that we have to get in the heartland of Virginia and register more people to vote, because only 50% of people who identify themselves as Republicans are registered. We can get this done, but we have to select a candidate who can do it. And friends, I'm ready to go to work for you and win in November and get Virginia back. Thank you.
Wow, we're going to have some tough decisions to make in May. So, lightning round. 30 seconds, Ms. Rebecca. Should Virginia implement ranked choice voting for November general elections? Ranked choice voting for November general elections. Yeah? Sorry, it was submitted. Maybe I should have vetted it.
Yeah, I think it would be very hard. I mean, ranked choice voting obviously will be used in our convention process. Ranked choice voting in a general election when you have a Democrat and a Republican probably wouldn't be very practical. So I don't quite know how that would work. I think the current system of where, you know, obviously in Virginia for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, you only have one winner. So and you only have a Republican and Democrat on the ballot. So I'm not sure that ranked choice voting works in November elections.
So maybe my submission was confused, so we'll let you answer it with the primaries.
Okay, that helps me.
That was a good answer.
Thank you, Glenn. Yeah, it's nothing great than to be first on that question. Thank you.
Sorry.
Unless these guys going, I'm glad he's going.
So do you want to flip it and just
ranked
take
choice?
it?
Yeah, on ranked, I think where we're at right now, and that's where we're at in the convention process. I like ranked choice voting. What basically is going to allow is you to come once. I actually would like a lot of participation. I think with ranked choice voting, then you're going to have people that are going to come that wouldn't normally come. If they got to hang around all day, they might not actually vote. And the other thing, and Glenn said this well, you know, we've got to unite and win. And let's face it, and I think we're all going to tell you this, we love to be your number one choice. We also would like to be your second choice, and we need to earn that also. And it will make us sure that we're speaking to the issues maybe, not going after each other.
I think the short answer is we do need ranked choice voting in the case of a convention, because I think that's about the only option we've got. But I would like to get, if I'm not your number one, you're number two. So thank you very much.
The rules don't matter to me. I'm here to win either way. Doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is I seen Democrats at the top, and I beat them straight down. And I did it in this cycle. Lee Carter probably wondering where the pepper spray is at. I don't know what I took on the Democrats so far in the governor's forum and embarrassed them. That's exactly the type of fight we need. Campaigns are brutal and vicious. Let's be honest, people. And the fact of the matter is you need somebody who's ready to stop, make all of, and walk a mud puddle dry and walk. Okay? So that's my answer.
The key to this process is, one, we now have 37 polling places, and we might have a few more. So I encourage everybody to sign up, because we need broad participation so Republicans can actually stand up with a voice. And the goal of this convention is to pick the candidate who can win. That's the goal. So let's all go to work and get that done, and then we'll march through in November and win. And so the process is the process, and let's make it work, and let's pick the candidate who can win. Thank you.
All right, the question was, how do you feel about ranked choice voting? And I love it, and I'll tell you why. Because I want the candidate that has the most buy-in to win. If we have 51%, then most of the people, instead of just a 20% or 30%, the people will be behind them. So I support ranked choice voting, but I think you should go one time to vote. I would also say that I think any registered voter should vote. You should not have to sign up to be a delegate to a convention. I think that we should allow all registered voters, all Republicans to vote. So that would be the big difference. I don't like voter suppression.
So we can pause from the questions for a second, because everyone is speaking about delegates. So that's a good reminder that I'm sure every candidate and some of our activists in the audience have delegate forms. So if someone is not signed up, let's get signed up. Let's go to work. So this is a question that is very important to a lot of Virginia Beach residents who own a business and operate in Virginia Beach. The start of the K-12 school year has always been an issue of contention in the Commonwealth. Should public schools start before Labor Day, regardless of the pandemic? 30 seconds. Yes.
I think the start of the school year is something that the parents should decide in collaboration with the teachers, but I think it's a parent choice. It's something that we just need to find out. I'm not really well qualified to do that, because we took care of that problem ourselves, and we decided when they started and when they ended. So I think it's something that parents should decide. Thank you.
We won't be able to answer that question unless we get the schools back open at this time period. That's the reality of the situation. And honestly, we just need to open back up. They're losing too much, and we gotta fight for them. One way or the other. Thank you.
So here we go again with state issuing things that local jurisdictions should figure out. That's what the problem is. But, Merle, you're right. The schools got to get open. They got to be open now. I'm frustrated with the fact that we've actually allowed our school systems to stay closed. We've allowed our children to be absolutely academically and emotionally disadvantaged. And I'll tell you that we are so mistreating our children. So we need to stand up and get our schools open now and let local school districts make their own decisions about when they open.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is my bill. I actually was the chief patron of this bill that passed and was signed into law by a Democratic governor last year. And because of my bill that I passed and was the chief patron of, we can actually open our schools early. And guess what? There is a local option. So the localities can actually make that decision before my bill that I passed and was signed into law, you couldn't do that. It was a state law called the King's Dominion Bill that would not have allowed you to do it, but because of the bill that I actually passed and was signed into law, we can reopen our schools.
Yeah, I've always been for local option, and there's some reasons for that. Don't forget, when kids take SOL tests and when kids take AP tests, the problem is one of the problems for kids is if you do open after Labor Day, it's very, very difficult for teachers. Their windows are very, very short. So what you find out a lot of times is, and I hated when teachers did this, but in May and June, after those SOL tests were taken, way too many movies going on and learning not going on. And so I think it's very, very important to make sure that you do local option.
Okay, would you pledge to not accept campaign donations from utility monopolies in Virginia? Mr. Rutledge.
First off, I can't be bought off. I don't accept money from special interest groups or anything for favors. I either support you or I don't. I'm 100% conservative. If I believe it's a good idea, great, but you can never give me money for it. I'm here for you, not for myself. Thank you.
Having never run for office before, I don't know anybody anything. And I can guarantee you, when I get to go to work for all of you, I will not owe anybody anything. And this is what we deserve, is someone who actually doesn't have to kowtow in order to run. There was a candidate in 2016 who ran for president that actually said the same thing. He did pretty well. We can get this done, folks. Thanks.
So to specifically answer the question, I've actually signed a pledge as a state senator that I would never accept money from Dominion Energy, and in fact, I've even voted against SEC judges that they should not be former lobbyists or members of the legislature. I've also exposed the pay-to-play system in Richmond. I do not believe that lobbyists should pay legislators thousands of dollars. I think it should be illegal. And I've actually exposed that. It should never be done. I would finally end by, in my governor campaign, I've not accepted one dime of PAC money or lobbyist money.
I've been running for 32 years and have always obviously gotten almost the majority of my money from small dollar contributors. But candidly, this is going to be a $35 to $40 million campaign. And once you start going on the road of you're not going to take money from this business or this energy company, et cetera, where does it stop? You're really going to limit yourself because the Democrats obviously are going to have very deep pockets. As Speaker, I raised about $8.5 million, and I spent most of that money on other candidates. So I think you need to be very cautious about that type of thing.
The answer to that question is no. I'm not big on all this green energy stuff. I think what we need to do is unleash that human creativity I was talking about. And since I've never run before, I'm not even sure where all that money comes from, but I can tell you where I'm getting it now. And it's from small donations, and I ask all of you to help me out here. So I'm here to protect that American dream. It's pretty simple. That's the reason I'm running. Like I said, my Boy State career didn't take me that far, but I want to run for that to protect that American dream.
I appreciate all those answers. I know everyone does. Very honest. I appreciate that. We're going to have a tough decision. Let's end with softball, and then we'll go to closing. And again, we just have to thank these candidates so much. It's so hard to step out. It's amazing. So, not a political figure, but what historical figure do you find most inspirational? Not Ronald Reagan, not Abraham Lincoln, not a political figure.
Go first.
I'm happy to go first. I'm a Christian, and I find Jesus Christ amazingly inspirational. He saved me, and he can save everyone else. Thank you.
Glenn, you took my answer. I'm going to say Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and I would say the Holy Spirit is my GPS.
Was Jesus, but I'll go with Peter. Because I think who is Simon? I just love Peter's heart and his passion for the Lord. And boy, we all make mistakes. And boy, Peter denying Christ 3 times. But think how Peter died. One of the most agonizing crucifixions. Wanted to be crucified upside down because his Lord was crucified on the cross. I always admired Peter because of somewhat his flaws, but his love for the Lord.
Thank you. I'm going to cheat a little bit. There's 2 women, my mom and my wife. Thank you.
I would say the Virgin Mary because she was pro-life, and without her, we would not have our Lord and Savior.
That's amazing. So how about 2 minutes? That sound okay for closing, and we'll go reverse alpha? Does that sound fair? So, Mr. Youngkin, you would go first?
So first of all, I'm just so impressed with all the folks up here. We have great folks running for governor. I just want to thank all of you. I know what it takes because it's hard. Thank you. We have an opportunity in 2021 to actually change the future of our Commonwealth, and I just want to encourage all of us to come together and get this done. My wife and I launched something earlier, about 3 weeks ago, called Virginia Wins. And we launched this not about our campaign, but about all the other campaigns. We made a commitment in order to support school board races, sheriff races, delegate races, Commonwealth's attorney races. Oh, by the way, folks, there's so much money that comes in from out of state, from George Soros and others, in order to try to influence outcomes in a state they don't even live in. We have to come together and actually push back. And so we did this because I'm not going to have a lonely victory in November. We're going to bring a whole crop of Republicans with us, and we're going to get these most important seats back where we have a conservative voice in all of these amazingly important offices. But we have something even more important we can do. In 2022, after we've won back our House of Delegates, after we have swept the governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general's office, then I get to go to work for you as your governor, and we get to fix Virginia and put her right. But then I get to campaign statewide. We get to knock doors. We get to plant signs. We get to absolutely raise money in support of all the candidates across Virginia, and most importantly, our House of Representatives members. We're going to win back the 7th and the 2nd, folks. And those 2 seats, plus 4 other seats from the rest of the country, yes, Virginia is going to do the lion's share of the work. We're going to take back our House of Representatives, and we're going to send Nancy back to California. This is what we're going to do. This is our future, folks. We can change Virginia's future and our country's future forever, but it must start right here. Thank you.
Friends, I just want to tell you that we have a number of wonderful friends who I've just enjoyed getting to know over the last couple months. A lot of great people up here. But of all the folks that are running, listen, I've been with you in the trenches for over a decade. I got involved in the Republican Party back in 2008 with the Chesterfield County Republican Committee and was hired on as their first ever executive director of campaigns. I never planned to run for office. I planned to run everybody else. This was not on my bucket list, but here I am. I know how to win because I've done it. I've worked for congressmen, 3. I worked to help Bob, Bill, and Ken get elected back in 2008. I was part of that major win. I know how to win. I'm the first female to ever seek the Republican nomination for governor. We have never done that before. But most importantly, I am the only candidate here that has a conservative voting record that you can trust. 100% pro-life. I have a voting record to back that up. 100% rating with the Second Amendment. 100% rating with the VCDL, an 80 rating with the NRA, and I carry, even now. 100% rating with the NFIB. I understand business. I have a degree in finance. I've worked in the private sector, the public sector. I've been in the state senate. I know the issues. No matter what topic you pick, because I've been in the legislature, I understand the issues. I understand the secretaries. They're basic information that you have to know as a governor from day one. And I love these people, and I want them to run. I know only one of us is going to move forward, but I will personally vow to be your coach if you ever run for any other position, because I love all of you. So thanks, and God bless everyone. Thank you.
You know, one of the things I always told my government students was, you shouldn't do this. That this is the most important subject you'll ever take. Because I loved Virginia so much, and we are the unique experiment in representative democracy. We're where it started. And the Virginia I have loved, and hopefully tried to serve for 32 years, I have watched over the last year and a half almost disappear. And I'll be real honest with you, I really thought to myself, you know, you've done this for 32 years. You've got 2 boys down at Myrtle Beach. You've got a new granddaughter. You know, maybe it's time to do something different. And then I really thought to myself, no way. Virginia is just much too special. It's where it all started. I would say what's a little bit unique about me is that, and I've been very blessed, I was the whip, the majority leader, and speaker. You just don't become those things. All of your colleagues have to vote for you to do that. And I'm very humbled by that. I do think that experience is very valuable, because we want to turn all these things around immediately. And boy, you got to know how to do that. You got to know who to appoint, where the levers are, and let's be candid. You got to be able to put the coalitions together to repeal a lot of these bad laws. And I'll end with this one. I think the one that probably, besides the Kathy Tron bill, this parole board we're at right now. Think about that. And think about letting a guy like Vincent Martin out, a vicious police killer, who stood over a police officer and shot him 4 times in the head. That is McCullough's parole board. That's their belief. Kirk Cox will fire that parole board. And Kirk Cox will make sure that this Virginia will be the Virginia we all know and love. Thank you all very much for having us tonight.
As I've said before, Virginia is the cradle of the American experiment that has created the greatest good and opportunity in the history of the world. We're losing it. We've got to defend her. And by the way, we can and we will, because the United States, Virginians have always stood up in times of crisis, and we've pulled through. We've got to do this together. This is what we're all about. This is the reason I'm running. I spent 30 years in the Army, and I use the American example as this is the gold standard of how you conduct yourself if you're going to be a country of law and order. You are looking at the United States as a standard for voter integrity, for election integrity. Did we have that the last time? No. Why? Because it's being violated, and it's being violated here in Virginia. Why? Because you want to denigrate Virginia, because socialists want to destroy history, because they don't want you to see where it all began. It is disgraceful to have us destroy our own history. That's like self-hate. We're not about self-hate. We are taught to defend our religious rights. Our religious rights are the First Amendment. Look at the legislation that's being presented right now in Richmond, and it is going to destroy that, because they want to destroy that one truth. There is only one truth, and that truth is in God. I am here by His grace. I am that person that started with nothing, and here I am being a part of all of this. And oh, by the way, just look at this. Look at who's here. Is this a representation of the United States? Yes. what makes us unique is that we're all Americans. We all believe in the American dream. That American dream cannot be violated. That American dream will live on, and with your help, we're going to get this back. Thank you.
I know I'm getting old now. We're in the face of annihilation. This is the truth. See, I'm a Catholic doctrine type of person. I believe in protecting our home. More than ever, we need to make sure the Republican nominee is backed by everybody inside this room, and nobody's going independent or third party. The fact of the matter is our children and your grandchildren and those who come after them depend on it. Your father and grandfather and all your family members who helped raise you for this fight. Don't ever think they didn't. They was hoping that it didn't come. But right now, we are face to face with the Democratic monster that's trying to take us all over, from our schools to our churches to how we run our business and how we run our lives and how we raise our family. If you ain't ready to fight and do whatever it takes, this is the time for it to become very uncomfortable. This is the time to get that fire back in the belly, because this is the fourth quarter. You're going to have to work for every single inch. It doesn't matter who the voter is or what the person looks like, their vote matters. We need to make sure, moving forward, that we win in November. We don't have a choice, or expect Venezuela to become Virginia, given the Three Stooges running Richmond. This is more important than ever. This is your fight for your lifetime. I can't kid you any longer. President Trump warned us about this. And like he said, let's fight like hell.
Amazing. Let's give them a round of applause, please. And how refreshing to see everyone working together and basically, pledging to support each other, because that's what we need to do, right? After the evening of May 8th, we have to go to work for our candidate. It's critical, so important. Then we just have a couple of other remarks and announcements, but would we like to let the candidates maybe join their table, or would you prefer that?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much.
Let's give Rebecca a big round of applause. And just a couple of housekeeping items. First of all, we have delegate forms. We have a lot of signs outside. The hotel has passed me a nasty note to make sure that we pick them all up. And also, Senator Kiggins walked in after I had announced her, and I think she might be heading out, but let's give Senator Kiggins a round of applause. And David, I think I had my old notes out, so I think I missed you as past RPVB chair, so let's give David a round of applause. Thank you for his service. And do we have time for like 2 minutes for other races? So we have a surrogate in the room for another statewide candidate. Brian, would you like to say something for? No? Okay, we just got 2 minutes back. Awesome. And
I'm a conservative.
Okay, all right, cool. How about Lieutenant Governor Maura Pratt?
I am not anywhere as eloquent as my boss and friend Glenn Davis, who is running for Lieutenant Governor, but is currently the delegate in Virginia Beach in the 84th District. And so I wrote down a few words, just I'll try to be brief like I said earlier, but probably not as brief because I get really passionate when it comes to talking about my boss. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here tonight. Glenn actually wishes he could be here, especially to see his rock star wife put on an excellent forum. But he's traveling in Commonwealth. Love you, Shirley. I love you. He's traveling the Commonwealth, working hard to win every vote. As many of you know, I work a day job as a legislative aide for Glenn Davis, but I'm actually here with my proud supporter hat on tonight to advocate for his candidacy for Lieutenant Governor. I'm pleased to report that our team has built up a ton of momentum throughout the Commonwealth. Glenn's been endorsed by over 1,000 grassroots leaders and elected officials, and I truly believe that the reason for that is because he will fight for all of us. I always knew I signed on to work with an intelligent and hardworking man, but I've been even more thrilled to work for a true fighter. In the House of Delegates, Glenn has fought tirelessly for our core principles and freedoms. There were days during this past legislative session where he was up until the wee hours of the morning, scouring through hundreds of pages of legislation, looking at every word, and then he was up at 7 a.m. for subcommittee, using his late night research to stick it to those gun-grabbing Democrats. Glenn's been a strong supporter of the Second Amendment rights. He serves on the Firearms Subcommittee, where he's part of that first line of defense to fight against the anti-gun agenda that the Democrats have put forward. As the son-in-law of a New York City police officer, Glenn will always back the blue. This rang truer than ever when Glenn helped lead the fight to defeat the Democrats' assault on qualified immunity this year. Glenn's also fought to get our children back into the classroom. Early on in the pandemic, he brought up a second curve that included the negative impacts on mental health that we're all witnessing. And we're witnessing those devastating effects right here with our students missing out on time in the classroom. Glenn's also a firm believer in school choice, and he's fought against both Democrats and Republicans alike to stand up for this important issue. He led on this issue since before he was even in office, and he was instrumental in starting Green Run Collegiate, a charter school located right here in Virginia Beach. It's right down the road from where we are now, actually, and GRC has a 77% minority population and a 49% student body that's below the poverty level. But the kicker is that despite all of those facts, GRC has a 100% graduation rate and the highest SOL test scores of any public school in Virginia Beach, including our academies. Glenn knows school choice works and can elevate whole communities because he's seen it work, and he's fought to give more families that choice. Whether it's standing up for the sanctity of life, the Second Amendment, fighting for school choice, or utilizing his knowledge and experience as an entrepreneur to help revitalize the Commonwealth, Glenn is the conservative champion and fighter that Virginia needs. You see, Glenn's a businessman at his core, not a politician, and we need big, bold ideas to win again in Virginia. Look, I could sit here all day and talk God, guns, and Glenn, but I want to conclude my time here about talking about how we can win. The truth is, Glenn has never lost to a Democrat, and he sure doesn't plan on starting in 2021. In 2019, I got to witness his ability to win, even when the odds are stacked against him. You see, his delegate district is a lot like Virginia as a whole. It's gone blue the last 3 statewide elections, and to compound this problem, Glenn was outspent over 4-1 in his last race, with the Democrats flooding in a bunch of out-of-state money. His opponent spent $750,000 to his $0 on TV and radio. Despite this, Glenn stood firm, put in the work, and took his message directly to voters in a true grassroots campaign. And guess what? He won. Folks, won't it be nice to win again in Virginia? I hope you'll join me in supporting Glenn as he works hard for all of us, because it's going to take all of us to win in November. I have sign-up sheets, and I have more information about Glenn near the door. And if you flag me down for any questions, I'm happy to answer anything. To wrap things up, I hope you'll support Glenn, a businessman, fighter, and proven winner, so we can take back the Commonwealth in November. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. That's actually my favorite subject, in case anyone didn't know. I love that little guy. How about, we'll go top down, right? So for Congress, Andy, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Shelley. Just a 30-year Navy veteran, Iraq War veteran, former prosecutor, firm believer in the Republican creed. Thank you.
How about the 82nd House of Delegates? I think we have 2 candidates in the room. So I think Kathy? Kathy Owens? Yes.
Kathy Owens, in expectation of the seat opening up, I'm running for the House of Delegates 82nd District. As we all have heard and we all know that Richmond is a mess. Our values and our rights are being chipped away, making us less safe and less prosperous. The solution to that is electing strong, energetic, and visionary leaders, and I am one of those leaders. While raising 3 children, I flew Navy aircraft aboard aircraft carriers at night. I flew 777 airplanes overseas.
apologize for not getting a microphone out to you. Are you okay, Miss Ann? Two great candidates there, so we're going to be interested in learning more about both of you. And Miss Sylvia?